What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. We're a niche channel. And reserved for the best is super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at 6th_element_comic. We do live auctions, live claim sales. I rock with Tooth and Claw, hit animated television series. The Scotty Young joint, blowing up fast. X23. So this is dope, man. What's good, everybody? It is the 6th element of hip hop. We are running late, but I'm sorry, but we are here. I am your host, Reno Noir. This is my co-host right here, Stu Dog. What's good, Stu? How you doing, man?
Peace.
We chilling today. It is DC Power Hour episode Infinity because a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of DC news, but the big thing today, obviously, that we've been talking about is hip hop's birthday. Right, we're calling this the hip hop born day salute. What's good, Corey? What's good, Slade in the building? Peace. Hip hop is a culture, right? It's not a genre of music. Okay, it's a culture, and the culture doesn't have an exact birth date. Obviously, it's a culture, but many put that day as August 11th, 1973, as the day hip hop began. Because that is the day, the first in writing that we can find, right? Historical artifact here, the actual card, the 3x9 card or whatever, 3x4 card, whatever, a DJ Kool Herc party, right? Back to school jam. This was the summer, August 11th, 1973 at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Rec Room in the Bronx, New York. You know what I'm saying? Down in the projects at 1520 Sedgwick, and this man right here
Sedgwick, that's where he lived at. That was the building that he lived in. They had a rec room, and they asked could they give a little party down there. They told him yeah, so he went down there and started spinning, and the rest of the parties was the rest is history with the parties. But that's where that would have to be the core root of hip hop. Until it evolved into what we had in the 80s with Run DMC, because hip hop was basically, it was all music. It wasn't a lot of MCing. It was a lot of music. It was a lot of break beats. These guys were they were like borrowing from each other and then innovating what the other one did and just taking it to another level. The scratch, the break beat.
And that's Kool Herc right there on the right with the shades on. He got the full rim. That's Kool Herc. He's a Jamaican dude, DJ Kool Herc. And over there on the left, that's Tony T. But yeah, it was the Caribbeans. It was the Jamaicans. You know what I'm saying? But hip hop is global, right? Lapping on every shore and landing at every airport. I don't care where you at. Hip hop has taking the globe. But what is hip hop, right? What does hip hop mean? I think we want to get into that today. Talk about, the core of what hip hop is. Is it music? What is it, right? And it's a culture, right? It's not a race. It's not a gender. It's not a geographical location. It's a culture. And, but, it's a music too, right? There's a music, you know what I'm saying? So is it the beats? Is it the lyrics, the MCing? Is it the breakdancing, the graffiti, right? The DJing or any of these things? But, of course, the answer is that it's all of those things and more, right? Hip hop embraces all of these artistic elements, right? Most definitely. But it also has blended and transcended them to become a means for seeing and celebrating, experiencing, understanding, confronting, and commenting on life itself, right, in the world. Hip hop, in other words, is a way of living, right? It's a culture. um, you know, the elements of hip hop came together in the Bronx. That's where it started. Nobody can deny that. Nobody will deny that, right? That's where it started. That's where hip hop began in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Then it quickly spread to Queens and Brooklyn, but a lot of guys thought it was just going to stay in New York City, like it was just this thing we did. You know, it's just this thing we do. It's not really wasn't ever thought of it was going to be this big genre or all of that, but it's quite an amazing story, man. It was the early 1970s, right? Stu, you're a little older than me, so you like 10 years older than me, like 9 or 10 years older, 8 or 9, something like that. So you experienced a different part of hip hop than I did. You know what I'm saying? Like this, the 1970s times was tougher than usual for the poorer parts of urban America. From a whole lot of nothing and a whole lot of imagination, hip hop sort of took form in that time. And DJ Kool Herc is credited with throwing the switch right at the August 1973 dance bash. It was like a back to school, just a party. But what he did was he spun the same record on 2 turntables, toggling between them to isolate and extend the percussion breaks. That's where you got break beats. That's where you get the term break dancing, and that's where the hip hop beat came from. And like a lot of people like criticize my father, for instance. One of his criticisms of hip hop was that it sounds the same, like the whole song, it doesn't change. Whereas sort of, rock and roll will have all these different changes, and this part sounds classical, and then over here it gets real heavy, and then like all these different events. Whereas hip hop, it's the same beat through the whole thing. But that was the point, right? That was the danceable section of the song where it breaks down, the breakdown, right in the bridge. And he noticed that during that breakdown is when people on the dance floor really, really got into it. And so what if I just extend that part and keep the dance floor popping the whole time? And that's where we got break beats. That's where we got hip hop beats as we know it. That's how it started. That's how it came to be. And that's what, like the most danceable section, the break was just extended by taking 2 records, playing the part right here, fading it over to this record, playing that same part, fading it back to this record, so that all you hear is the same break beat playing over and over and over. And they had to do
somebody. Well, it was somebody that who was it that came out with it before that? But Kool Herc was the one that had the idea of bringing it, of keep bringing it back. Like he was the one that just said
Flash did a whole bunch.
The one, right? But Herc was the one that had the Kool Herc is crazy. He said like look, like I had this idea, like all right. Kool Herc also had the idea of listening to the record before you could hear it. Nobody had ever had that. Nobody ever did that. So he invented a way to do it. He spliced together some wires, did this, that. Right. I forget what they call it. They got a term for it. But he was, you know how you see the DJ sitting there listening to.
Yeah, they got the headphones on.
Right. This is before the computer and all that. He's got the headphones, listening to it.
Just about to
and
say,
he's finding a spot on the record.
Yeah.
Right. He found a spot on the record that he wanted. So Herc was also the one. He took a crayon and he marked the part where the break was.
That was Flash that did the crayon.
Right.
That was Flash.
Yeah, Flash did the crayon because Herc was the one. When Herc got the break beat, he would just play the break beat. Flash was the one. That's who it was. Flash was the one that brought it back to back. Mm-hmm. And he just kept, he just kept looping it like Corey Adja. He was the one that kept looping it. Mm-hmm. Herc would just play the break and then let it roll. And that's all he played. But Flash was the one that kept bringing it back and made a whole beat out of it. He's the one that's the father of sampling. Because without him, we wouldn't have sampling right now.
That's true. And Kool Herc threw that party, and that night was so electric and such a big thing that DJs in the Bronx immediately start trying to outdo Herc, right? It was the code, that was flowed through hip hop ever since one, use skills and whatever resources are available to create something new and cool. And 2, emulate and imitate the genius of others, but inject a personal style until it becomes something fresh and new. And you know what I'm saying? Competition was and remains the prime motivator in the hip hop realm. And this is a big reason why our artists don't enjoy the same sort of golden years that say rock and roll artists enjoy, right? Like the Rolling Stones still come out and sell out a fucking arena, but try and, you know, have, you know, Rakim do that or Run DMC. It doesn't, because the competition of the art form is such that you got to be new and fresh and constantly doing something new and fresh. And so when somebody's an old artist, it's like, oh, that's old, that's not. But as long as that artist can keep reinventing themselves, like Jay-Z is a great example, Nas is a great example, keep reinventing yourself and evolving with the times, then you stay relevant. But if you just stay with your same style, you're gonna be left in the back, because it is competition, and it always was a competitive one up nature of since the beginning, and that's always been the. But I think, you know, I hope that soon we can get to a place, because hip hop is a new genre. It's a new genre of music from the culture of hip hop. Rap music, it's a fairly new art form. You know, it's an all-American, fairly new art form that has to, you know, take its time to resonate and really, you know, become solid in as a genre. But I think rock and roll just being here longer and having time to evolve. I think hip hop I think this is the first time that hip hop fans and artists are older guys, right? That's never happened before, because hip hop didn't exist when there, you know, in the previous generation. Like, this just came out this generation. So we're at the first point where now the guys that were starting it are now in their 50s and even 60s. You know, we're older.
Try 60s and try 60s and 70s, bro. Like
70s, something.
Because you got Curtis Blow and all of them. They're in the 60s. They're pushing 70. If some of them aren't 70 already, and then you got KRS-One and the rest of them. They're in their mid to late 50s, things like that. I mean, you know, like, it was just phases, man. Like, when we first started hip hop, it was nothing but break beats, and that's where you got the term break dance and breakers, because that's what they would do. They would break dance to those break beats. So that's where we got breakers from. That's where break dancing came from.
Speaking of break dancing, you want to see something?
Yeah, show me something.
All right, so here's a little snippet of some hip hop from the early days. Actually, I want to take it back farther than that. And this is argued by some to be the first actual hip hop recording, called "Here Comes the Judge" by Pigmeat Markham back in the day. Later, when he was a little older, he did this, I think it was a Johnny Carson appearance or something like that. But let's run this real quick. This is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's like the first rap song. And this is a later recording of it. He actually did this probably a decade before, but check this out, the first rap song.
Here comes, get it, boy. He's a total swing. Just about ready to do that thing. I don't want no tears, I don't want no lies. Above all, I don't want no alibis. This judge is hip, and that ain't all. He'll give you time if you're big or small. Fall in line, or this coat is neat. Peace, brother. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Everyone knows that here the judge. Pardon this. I'm going to Paris to stop this war. All those cats got this to me, because I am the judge and you can plainly see. Lay down the law. They better not budge, for I'll bust some head, because I am the judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Everybody knows he is the judge. Had a chat with whole chief men. Sip rice wine and chase it with gin. I may be wrong, lest I miss my guess. I'll have us all out of this doggone mess. I sent a cable to Bob and Mac. Told them boys I was coming back. Sat right down with Rocky Nick and teach them some of these people tricks. Here comes the judge. time. Guess what time? The money's all spent. Vote for me. I'm your president. Now you know why I'm the judge.
So he like hit all the a lot of the familiar tropes right there in that song. If you listen to, he was bragging on his name. He was talking about partying. He was talking about drinking. He was talking about, you know, he quoted the word hip. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot of stuff back then that yes, man, that is for real. Take you back.
You better believe it. You better believe it, Slade.
Man, what's wrong with this camera, man? You got to stop this camera. Come on, camera. Give me.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we just.
There we go.
I mean, listen, that was a lot for me too, man.
That's a lot.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I give credit to where credit is due, man. You know,
he was rhyming.
Who's to say there was somebody else that wasn't doing it before that, man, but just never got the recognition.
That's what yeah, because that's right. That's exactly what I was getting at is that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, somebody probably did use that for
a
hook in it before.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you know, that's kind of the point. It's like this art form, it quickly draws other art forms into its orbit. Like hip hop has so many different art forms that make it a culture, you know what I'm saying, make it a growing movement, right? And there's, you know, I'm from poetry, obviously visual arts, urban philosophy, you know what I'm saying, and their visions and voices by whatever means available. And they got the word out by what was happening in their neighborhoods much of mainstream middle class America was doing its best to ignore or run down. Hip hop kept coming, kept pushing, kept playing until that was no longer possible. And people had to wake up and see what was going on, because before hip hop, white America really was clueless as to what was going on in the black community, completely clueless. And hip hop, starting as well, evolving into a sort of almost a newscast, right? To you know, of us just sort of speaking with each other and telling each other shit about what's going on in my hood, what's going on in your hood, what's going on in this hood. And you had, you know, the West, the South, the North, everybody, you know, having their daily goings on and putting it into music. And then now cats in LA know what's going on in New York. And now cats in Texas know what's going on in Chicago, right? But now also white America is waking up to some things. And I think that helped in a lot of ways too. But today, some hip hop scholars fold as many as, you know, 7 elements into hip hop. Obviously, this is the 6th element of hip hop, comic books. But you've got DJing, right? Is the artistic handling of beats and music, like we were talking about, break beats, all of that. MCing, aka rapping, putting spoken word poetry to a beat. You got breaking, right? Hip hop's a dance form. Writing, graffiti, the painting of highly stylized graffiti. Graffiti itself is not hip hop. Graffiti itself is a much older art form, but that's what I'm saying. All these different art forms sort of come together to create hip hop, and hip hop takes that art form and puts its style on it, puts its spin on it. So graffiti got a stylized hip hop spin. So hip hop writing, and then you've got knowledge of self, right? The moral, social, and spiritual principles laid out by the 5 Percenters by Clarence 13X. You know what I'm saying? And hip hop was using rap as a way to spread that knowledge. And, you know, obviously fashion is a huge factor as well, huge element as well, because hip hop definitely has its own dress code, right? We got our own style. We got our own way of wearing clothes, even if it's regular clothes. Before hip hop was making baggy jeans, we were just buying Levi's that were 3 sizes too big, right? So we were making our clothes hip hop before hip hop labels started creating their own styles and or their own, you know, fashion, which is just a way of taking what we did with the regular clothes and putting a hip hop spin on it, you know, and trying to, you know, and
Yeah. Well, Reno's having some technical difficulties. He'll be
yeah,
back.
I'm sorry, guys. This camera is giving me some
shit.
Camera's
giving him some problems.
Yeah, we're gonna get a new camera, I guess. This is not gonna happen again. All right, man. This is pissing me off. Bear with me, guys. Sorry about that. Lords of the Underground. Here comes the Lords. Use that hook. Okay, from the pig meat. Yeah, I mean, look, that's what I'm saying. So hip hop has taken all of these styles, all of these art forms, all of these different aspects of cultures and brought it together, created the culture that is hip hop. So me and Stu were talking earlier about different things we could show you guys, and one of the things we came up with was some breakdance clips. So I got that for you right now. Let me run that quick while I try to work on this camera. Memories, dog.
Yeah,
that shit bring me back. Yo, I was a little kid. Like I don't know what, I must have been 4 or 5 years old. I don't know, my pops might be in it, but I was breakdancing as a little kid. Like that shit spread like wildfire, man. Hip hop just took over the globe, man. I mean, from his work, you know, with work with what you got, epicenter of the Bronx, hip hop has rolled outward and just become a multi-billion-dollar business. Its sounds, styles, and fashions, you know, is now in play around the world. You see guys in Japan with dreadlocks and you know what I'm saying? Like it's like that. Like it's really spread. DJs spin turntables in Sao Paulo, Brazil. MCs rapping Arabic and French. All right, the nightclubs in Qatar, right? B-boys and B-girls right? Baby freezes in Finland, right? Graffiti just is everywhere. Great Wall of China. You know what I'm saying? Young poets, slam poetry in DC. I mean, it's just, you know, hip hop is, you know, it's life. It's a way of life. You know what I'm saying?
It's a phenomenon. It's a national, global
phenomenon, right? Yeah.
Hip hop came a long way, man. I mean, my era is more like the 80s. And I grew up listening to it in the 80s, but the 90s is more my era because when I was growing up, you know, that's when Run DMC just hit in 83. Then they dropped Rock Box Beat in 84. You know what I'm saying? So like that's when we saw a definitive change in hip hop, the whole scene.
Right.
Before Run DMC came out, they were still kind of rocking like they was, you know, back in the 70s. And then Run DMC just came on the scene and they changed the whole thing. Because before Run DMC came out, you know, Africa Bambaataa and all that, they wore these elaborate costumes, man. They would be on stage, these headdresses and all that. It's like, and that's how they got down. But then Run DMC came out, they just had on sneakers, t-shirts, jeans, jean jackets, like they were just wearing urban gear. And a lot of people didn't like that. Like a lot of the older rappers like Grandmaster Flash and Kaz, they thought it was corny. It was like, yo, it was like, oh, these jokers just come up, they just jump on stage, they ain't got no cop. But that was that kicked off a revolution. That made everybody wanted to have Adidas. Everybody was wearing t-shirts and jeans.
It made me feel like I can do that. I can be it. Like
they kept it hood. But they credit Jam Master Jay with that because they were saying Jam Master Jay was the hood. That was the hood part of Run DMC. Yeah. But you know, once they came out, and then after they came out, then the rhyme style started changing. Because we had Rakim. Rakim came out, and his rhyme style was kind of complex.
Yeah, he put the complexity, definitely.
Then KRS-One came out and just changed the whole game. If it wasn't for KRS-One, we definitely would have people rhyming like they are today. I don't care who your favorite rapper is. Nobody was like Rakim had that preciseness when he rhymed. But KRS-One had the complexity. He came out with that complex way of rhyming. It just blew everybody's mind because nobody ever heard nothing like that. We were like, who is this joker? Where
Rakim took it a step further than KRS with the cadences. You know, and the flipping.
I wouldn't say that, man. I would say
I know KRS is your favorite, but KRS
was just
a little.
Rakim was just more precise, man. Like I can't take nothing away from neither one of them. And it's not that I am, but when Rakim came out, nobody was rhyming like that. Like people was just basic when they came out, and Rakim
real basic.
took it to another level. He took it to a level, you know, like it was just a precise way he rhymed. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was like, you know, I ain't no joke. You know, I used to let the mic smoke. You know what I mean? Now slam it when I'm done, make sure it's broke. But then KRS came out and he was like, you know, so now you forced to listen to the teacher and the lesson. Class is in session so you can stop guessing if this is a tape or a written down memo. See, I am professional. This is not a demo or fact. Call it a lecture, a visual picture. Like nobody rhymed like that. We was like, yo, who is this joker? When he came out, man, because nobody was that complex. KRS,
I agree with you.
I agree with you, but I would give Rakim the preciseness of just the way he rhymed.
Like, I would say the exact opposite. I would say KRS is more precise and technical, and Rakim was more rhythm and flow.
Yeah, I guess however you want to put it. Because I was there, and that's how we saw it. Like, I'm just saying, I was there when it came. I was there when it dropped, and that's how we saw it. Because we never heard nobody like KRS before. Well, by the time Rakim came out, MC Shannon was already rhyming, kind of like Rakim, but Rakim was just so precise. Like the stuff he was just saying was just like when he came out with Eric B for president, and he came. Go back and check the rhymes when you check the rhymes. Eric B is president, and check out my melody. it's a little more. It's an upstep from what Run DMC was doing. But when KRS came out, we never heard nothing like that. I mean, anybody old enough in this chat to know, they're gonna tell you the same thing. We never heard nothing like KRS-One before he came out. Nobody was rhyming like that. It was just the complexity of the rhyme because we never heard nobody put together a
I don't
string
know.
of 10-letter words.
I still think Rakim is way more complex than KRS with his
Bro,
cadence.
I never heard nobody in my life
But I know you're
before
biased.
1986. Nah,
So
I ain't biased at all.
You are biased.
I just never heard. Right.
KRS is your favorite rapper.
KRS is the best rapper I ever heard. But I had never heard nobody take a 10 take like 5 10-letter words, string them together, and make them rhyme. Nobody heard that.
Well, see what Rakim invented.
Before 86.
What Rakim invented was fitting more words into the rhyme pattern. And if you read his book, Don't Sweat the Technique or Sweat the Technique, he actually breaks down how he invented his rhyme scheme and how he broke it down and all that. And it's very intricate. And he's got the, where he said he started putting dots at the end of the bars and stuff like that, and it would help him fit more syllables into that bar. And that's what KRS invented, was fitting more syllables into the bars. And that's what I consider as a complex rhyme pattern. You might be talking more about lyrical, like the words being used and all of that. And then in that case, yeah. But when it comes to rhyme patterns, slick flows,
well, everybody's rhyme pattern is different. So you can't compare their rhyme patterns because they both too different. They rhyme different. They both rhyme different. But I'm just saying how the styles just started changing. You have Run DMC, which was hip hop, beat, bop, bop, boom,
real
boom,
basic,
back. You know what I mean? But the complexity of Run DMC, is how they passed the rhyme back and forth to each other.
Between each other,
would say, Ron would say some word, D would say, and then they would come together and say it. That right there in itself has never been duplicated. Nobody has ever been able to duplicate that the way they did it. And then when Rakim came out,
they invented that.
And then you had Shan and all of them came out, and them jokers could rhyme.
Smith and Wesson did it too.
They did it, but I can't say they were as complex as Run and DMC. They probably they did it more modern, but they couldn't. Run and DMC just had a way of doing it, man. It was just the rhythm, the way they broke that shit down, bro.
Yeah.
And then you had Shan and them. Shan and them came out, and they were a little more complex. And they came out, and they did their thing, and the rhyme style evolved. We saw it evolve with the Juice Crew, and then all of a sudden, Rakim just came from nowhere. Boom! We was like, damn, who is this Joker? We was like, yo, he was real different because he didn't rhyme like nobody. Because back then, man, once somebody started something, everybody would kind of like follow that pattern. And Rakim just came out of nowhere, and he was a god, and we was like, damn, yo, this Joker, he's spitting knowledge on the track. And we was like, yo, who is this? And then KRS came out, and the complexity of the way he rhymed blew our minds so much because we never heard nobody rhyme like that, man. When you listen to Criminal Minded, Poetry, and all that, you ain't never heard nobody heard that before 86. And then it changed again because now you got Nas and the rest of them, they all came out. Now we like, dang, because now we hit the 90s. Now we like, wait a minute, hold up. These jokers starting to get more and more complex with their rhyme styles. And then we got the 90s era where you got to take your hat off to P, Prodigy, Havoc. You got Mobb Deep. You had Nas. All of them came out. De La Soul. You was like, yo, where these jokers come from? How did they get? Damn. And then it just kept evolving, man, until you got to where now the standard is the complexity of the rhyme. Like that is the standard now. I don't give a damn what nobody tell you. And we didn't have that, man, before 86. You know what I mean? We just didn't have it. Like Rakim just had a flow, man, that was just incredible, and we had never heard nothing like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, Shan and them had their time. KRS had his. Everybody had their time, man. Yeah. It all rises and falls with the complexity of hip hop. Like right now, all these jokers do is sing. All they do is sing now, but they rhyming, but they singing. So like KRS said a few years back, when Kanye West made Flashlight, he was like, "Is that really hip hop? Well, isn't it?" Because he had a good question. Like Is he really saying, or is he just singing over the beat? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what all these jokers do now, man. If you really listen, that's all they do. Peace, Herbert. That's all they do now is just sing over the
Not
beat.
yet, Corey. We getting there. We gonna get there.
Yeah, LL was another one that had a complex rhyme style, bro. He just when LL came out, man, he just took everybody came out, just took it to another level when they
Mm-hmm.
came out, man. Like, you would have somebody doing something, somebody would come out. But Kumo D was another one. People love Kumo D. I was never really into him like that, but people love the way he rhymed back then, man.
My first cassette tape I ever owned, I was 9 years old, was Kumo D. It's not called Wild Wild West. Is that what that wasn't the album? What was
Which one?
that?
The one the one he's on the cover, like the blue, it's like a blue cover, he's standing like this with the shades on.
Yeah, but no, I think he's got the Jeep in front of him.
Oh, that's yeah, that's damn, somebody help me out. What
I think
what
that's the
album
one.
was that?
But see, because I had it on a dub tape.
Dub tape. Man,
Yeah, so I
listen, you
didn't
got
have like the cover
yeah,
to
because
it.
you got listen when you go from Run DMC
How You Like Me
to the
Now?
90s, How You Like Me Now, that was
That's the
yeah.
one. Yeah, when he
Yeah,
had the
because
Jeep. So yeah,
because
he had like
listen,
50
when
ways
you
on
go,
there.
yeah, because when you go from Run DMC, because you gotta remember that's where it started. Then you had Kumo D, Houdini. We had the Fresh Fest. We had LL. Who else,
We
man?
yeah,
We
we
had
gonna dial it back,
Roxanne
Corey. I'm gonna go
Shante.
back. I'm gonna take it back.
Yeah, we
Breaking in a
had
second.
Roxanne Shante. We had the real Roxanne. We had Spider. Then don't forget the DJs. You had Spider D. And I
We covered
mean,
Run DMC, Herbert.
you had the rapping Duke. And I don't give a damn what nobody say. People
The
like that,
ha.
man.
Yeah,
And
the
then
ha.
but I tell you, but I'm gonna keep it a buck though, Reno. If it's one hip hop scene we forget about, they contributed a whole lot to hip hop. And people don't really give them the credit that they deserve. It's Philly. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Philly was just
Will Smith.
evolving. Nah, we gotta go before Will Smith. We talking about the tough crew. You know what I'm saying? Kick the ball, all that, man.
But Philly blew up when they
Philly.
came with, when they came with Freeway and all of
Nah, man,
them.
we gotta go back
But
further. We gotta go back further to Freeway, bro, because Philadelphia had Steady B. They had Steady B. They had 3 Times Dope and all. Bro, you gotta remember they evolved. They were coming out just as well as New
with New
York
York,
rappers were
yeah.
putting out,
Well, yeah,
man.
yeah. It's just
You
because
know what I'm
it's the same
saying?
area, Jersey, all of that same area.
Spoon. Now listen, I tell you, the father of gangster rap is from Philly, and that's Schoolie D. Schoolie D he came out with that, looking at my Gucci, it's about that time.
Yeah,
That
Schoolie
shit was
D
hot, bro. Nobody, we
was the
had never heard
first
nobody
in the
cuss
West.
like we heard nobody cuss like that, come off like that, man. Come on, man. You got to
So, but
Cold
taking it
Crush
back to the
Brothers.
beginning though, Cold Crush Brothers, check out some of these posters, some of these flyers for these shows. Cold Crush, Harlem World presents Treacherous 3, Hypnotized Fearless 4. Right there, Spoonie G, Crash Crew, Cool DJ, AJ, Busy B. Shout out to Busy
Busy
B too.
B. Shout out to Busy B. All them, man.
We might get Busy B on the show, man, and chop it up with Busy. Bambaataa and Crew Throwdown right here. Cold Crush. Man, look at the names on here. Starsky, DJ Smalls, Theodore. I don't know Theodore. Grandmaster Kaz. Look at that. Theodore Fantastic 5. See that Fantastic 5, Treacherous 3. That's right there. That's comic books, y'all. That's hip hop and comics. Comics are the sixth element. Where you think they got the name Fantastic 5? That's the Fantastic 4. Right? Funky 4 plus one more. We got Dr. Rock Force MCs right there before they were the Force MDs. Chase and Tony T, Spoonie G, Wiz Kid, Imperial Brothers, T Ski and Valley D, Tracy D. Here go a real old joint. Africa Bambaataa, the original DJ Jazzy J, DJ Kool Herc on there, Clark Kent on there. Man, Short Shot, the Body Rock Disco Part 3. These are great. I love these. This was like a cue card or like a What are those cards? Yeah, look, it's like a kid made it and shit. Place, date, time, admission, 25 cents for the ladies, 50 cent for the fellas. Yo, imagine getting in the club for 50 cent.
God, you gotta charge the ladies less than the fellas.
Oh yeah, ladies get in free, but yeah.
Well, this was before inflationary times.
MC Light, we got SC Cool C.
Yeah, Cool C. You can't forget about Cool C, bro. You can't forget about none of the Philly rappers. You can't, because they all changed the game, bro. Yeah, tough crew.
Take it back to Powerhouse. Come on,
man. That's not back that far. But we'll take it. But
so
you got
Richard Colon. But shout out to we had a lot of recent deaths in hip hop, right? That we was talking about recently. But one of those is Crazy Legs. But when Richard Colon was just 10 years old, when his cousin took him to his first schoolyard bash, taking it back to 1976, he said, I was just blown away in Jeff Chang's history of hip hop, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. He says, I just saw all these kids having fun, checking out the whole scene, and it was my first time watching the dance with the music being played. I just immediately became a part of it. And he soon became a big part of it. By his early teens, the boy, now immortalized as Crazy Legs, became a trendsetter for breakdancing, a dance revolution, still popping, locking, rocking the world, and making a beeline from the Bronx, right? Hip hop culture rose from the streets of the Bronx. Breaking spun up and stepped out from the concrete and just spread and just like wildfire. Early breaker girls and b-boys like Crazy Legs, his rock steady crew, right? They earned skills on that hard ground, admiring each other's cuts, bruises, battle scars as they pushed, each other to the next level by, you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy does a move and it's like, oh shit, I could do that move, but then I put this on it, right? And then that shit would just evolve. And in keeping with his hip hop's ethic of improvisation, breaking is often a created on the fly dance style, like freestyle, like, you know what I'm saying, coming up with it as you go. And it mixes super quick footwork with body twerking twists. You got robotic movements that flow into smooth whole body waves, right? And it drop into acrobatic leg flares and backflips and all that shit, head spins. Breaking is the ultimate 3D dance, flipping high, spinning low, and putting premium on physical imagination and bravado. It was I think, the most creative sort of dance style out there. And you know what I'm saying? Breaking is copied though from many dance styles, like I said, to generate this uniqueness. And you got guys like Michael Jackson, that moonwalk, breakdancing. He saw cats breakdancing and just took it and put it on stage at Motown 25, and everybody's like, oh shit, he didn't invent that shit. That's just street breakdance kids. But you go back from 100 years ago, you got dances like the Charleston, right? That loaned its characteristic leg kick and arm swing as like a top rocking move. And then the ad-libbing of the Lindy Hop, popular from the 1920s, also lives in breaking style. For individual inspiration, though, no one can best soul singer James Brown. That's the, you know what I'm saying? His high energy sort of, just, bro, he killed it, bro. And he's inspired, I think, B-boys and B-girls ever since. His song Get on the Good Foot is one of breaking's early anthems. Tap, stepping, ballet, disco, and modern all contribute and continue to contribute. But hold on, I'm trying to keep up with these comments, guys. You met Crazy Legs, Slade, what's good? MC Breeze. Herb, I got the DMX Powerhouse on DVD. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it does.
Kid and Play. 87, Earl Tucker. Nah. Yeah, man. But yeah, breaking has rummaged beyond the dance floor and the stage to many of its most dramatic moves, like the whirling torsos and the leg gymnastics. You see this shit in gymnastic routines. You got capoeira, so the martial arts style capoeira from Brazil. That shit right there is big in breaking. A full blown showdown called battles. You know what I'm saying? Where they would like dance, fight, all that shit. But breaking is a lot more than just, just moves and various dances and disciplines, though. They, you know what I'm saying? Breakers, I'm not a breaker. I don't break dance anymore. That's something I did as a little kid, just, because it was the new thing. But it's also an art form, man. Like those guys live that shit. You know what I'm saying? Every time, you know what I'm saying? They, through the years, like Rocksteady Crew, Mighty Zulu Kings, the Lockers, the Electric Boogaloos, and thousands of other crews, man, and individual dancers, you know what I'm saying, that renew and evolve the style with new moves and shit. It's inspiring, man. It's super inspiring. So the next element is DJing, right? We talked a little bit about that, so I'm gonna break that down real quick. So DJs are the soul behind the beat, right? That makes people dance, right? And the best DJs have an almost mystical sense of mood at a party, right? They can know exactly what to play at the time and read the crowd. Like you don't just go in with a set list. Okay, this is songs I'm gonna play. You can have that to start you out, but you got to read the crowd. So the best DJs know how to direct the crowd and read the crowd, you know what I mean? So, and they sense the right moment to cue the right song and use the right technique, you know what I'm saying? And scratch in the right place and all of that and keep dance going. And it's that insight and a passionate knowledge of music and technical know-how that makes DJs, a pillar of hip hop culture. You got the sound system, right? That's the whole lab. Twin turntables, right? That's the standard, right? You got the DJ, he can switch easily between two songs or manipulate the records and, loop the beats and all that stuff. You got the turntables, they're wired to the receiver, the amplifier, the earthquake causing speakers, and the headphones. DJ got the headphones so he can cue up the song and all of that. So he's got his whole kit. And but before the rise of hip hop, that DJ's basic role was just simple, just spin records, just play music at the party. DJ Kool Herc's keen observations changed that game. Like I mentioned before, he noticed that the energy on the dance floor went off when the breaks of the songs would play, the breakdown, the beat, where it would just be like the drum beat and it would just be a breakdown. And that's where people would get down the most. And so he noticed that and he decided to make a loop where he would just only play the break and it would just be a long break session. And that's what gave us break beats. And he experimented with those methods to extend the sections by playing the same record on both turntables. You know what I'm saying? And Grandmaster Flash sort of refined this, right, with the needle fine timing, and then they switched back and forth between the turntables to multiply the break. Crowds, especially dancing b-boys and b-girls, that just, they eat that shit up. And since the beginning, hip hop DJs have been instrumental in channeling that youthful energy, away from trouble and crime in the street to creativity and fun and you know what I'm saying, parties. And good DJs constantly explore ways to, shock the audience, make something different, something, unexpected, by matching certain beats or blending certain tracks or making, you know what I'm saying? And it all evolved to now we got cats like DJ Tiger from Full Blast Radio, he's a genius when it comes to blending and all of that stuff on the fly. So we got all kinds of, it evolved, you know what I'm saying? And the never ending quest to distinguish, their mix. DJs often haunt those used record stores and they just dig through, the crates and prowl for lost songs or sounds that they, can use to make beats. Cause then you got the beat makers. That's sort of another evolution of the DJ, the producer, and trying to find old records that nobody's gonna know where this came from, right? It used to be like to try and find a sample that no one had ever heard or use it in a way that was unique, that no one would recognize it and just think it's this new song. You know what I'm saying? And then it got to the point where they start doing, oh, that's a hot, song or whatever, or use that well-known track to make a beat. That's more recent. Can y'all speak on what happened to the Cold Crush Brothers? I always hear them referenced in rap. The best ever came from. Yes, we'll definitely touch on Cold Crush. The best ever came from Philly. DJ Cash Money, DJ Jazzy Jeff, DJ Miz. They all won the world DMC titles. Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah, they did. Yeah, Corey is right about that. Best DJs that ever came out was probably from Philly, bro. Listen, bro, you can't take nothing away from Philly on the hip hop scene, bro. Can't take nothing away from it. They're just not mentioned. Like people do documentaries, they go to New York all the time and they talk about New York, but they never go to Philly and document the hip hop scene.
Yeah, and that's
they go out and document the hip hop scene in Cali, all that. They go down south, but they never go to Philly.
And they skip Philly.
Document that. They skip Philly, bro.
Because they feel that it's too. They feel that it's too similar to New York. So if we're gonna try and
Philly got their own. Philadelphia's always had their own style. They always had their own everything, right? Like the way they dress, their b-boying and their hip hopping was second to none, bro. But they just had their own. They had their own vibe, bro. But it's instrumental to hip hop because it actually, people actually went and did shows down there. They went and did like Schoolie D. Everybody tell you Schoolie D is the godfather of gangster rap. They'll tell you that, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, Ice-T will tell you that, and he one of the OGs. Because
Ice-T said when he did his song, Ice-T said when he did his song 6 in the morning, he was imitating Schoolie D when he did PSK. So he was like, and that's one of Ice's most popular songs. 6 in the morning.
Yes. Oh, that's dope, NBA Live, girl. Yeah, man, let us know. Let us know if we can help you with any of that or what's up. If you want to come on the show and chop it up. If you get that done, we'll definitely help you promote it.
Yeah, 100%.
So
the Cold Crush Brothers, they're probably infamous for their famous battle. The Cold Crush Brothers were just, they had I don't know, they just had a stage presence, man, where they just, they did a lot of moves. It was kind of like a mix between, like Motown and hip hop, where they would just, they had their little moves and their little dance steps, and they had a battle with who was it? They had a battle with somebody, and I think because I know you got Grandmaster Caz and all them. I think the pot was for like $1,000, and they messed around, and I can't. Damn, I'm trying to remember the story, but it's because it's one of the most famous battles in history, in hip hop history. But it was in the late '70s. I think Busy B was in. Yeah, Busy B, because that's what the movie. Matter of fact, that's the movie Wild Style was based on.
Well, they were in Wild Style, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wild Style was based on that. On that. I never, you know what? To this day, I've never watched that whole movie. I never watched the whole movie of Wild Style. Bro.
Well, the Cold Crush Brothers became involved in one of hip hop's most historic moments when Joey Robinson, son of Sugar Hill Records founder Sylvia Robinson, happened to hear Big Bang Hank, a part-time club bouncer and former manager of Grandmaster Caz, rap into a Cold Crush Brothers tape while working at the pizzeria in New Jersey. And then Robinson informed Hank that he was forming a group called the Sugar Hill Gang and asked if Hank would like to join. Hank accepted, although, he was not an MC, but Hank then took Grandmaster Caz's rhymes and used them as his own with no agreement with Caz. Caz's lyrics.
Reno.
What's up?
That's kind of backwards.
No.
Hank was, Sylvia was I think she was a famous disco singer or something like that. And she went to a party.
She was the founder of Sugar Hill Records.
Right. She went to a party and heard somebody. She heard somebody rap.
That's what I just said.
She was trying to get them to do it for her. She wanted to put it on record. Back then, MCs didn't record their stuff on record. They didn't go to no studios. They didn't record. They did it live, and that was it. She went and formed a group. She had her son go and find some MCs, and he came back with Hank.
So like I said, the son of
Hank couldn't
Sylvia
rap.
Robertson. Now let me finish, dude, because you weren't listening to what I said, because you just said everything I just said. So like I said, the son of Sugar Hill Records founder Sylvia Robinson happened to hear Big Bang Hank, a part-time club bouncer and former manager of Grandmaster Caz, rapping to a Cold Crush Brothers tape while working at a pizzeria in New Jersey.
That's not how it went down.
That's how it went down. And Robinson informed Hank that he was performing at a group called the Sugar Hill Gang, and he asked Hank if he would like to join. Okay, and then Hank accepted, although he was not an MC. Hank then took Grandmaster Caz's rhymes, used them as his own with no agreement from Caz. Caz's lyrics landed in a song by the Sugar Hill Gang called Rapper's Delight. That song became a huge hit in 1979 and was the first hip-hop single to land on the top 40 charts. And Caz never received any credit or compensation for the rhymes that he contributed. Because of the attention they began to attract, a lot of groups would try to battle them and gain street credibility and hip-hop's, for hip-hop supremacy. And this would lead to a fierce and well-known rivalry with the Fantastic Five. And this is what the battle you were talking about, culminating in a lyrical battle between the groups on July 3rd, 1981. All right. The grand prize was $1,000 in cash. Fantastic Romantic, as they later came to be known due to the popularity with the female audience, won the battle. And as said by Grandmaster Caz, the Cold Crush Brothers won the war. After tapes of their battle began to circulate the street, the people clearly, thought that the Cold Crush Brothers won the battle. This established the Cold Crush Brothers as one of the strongest underground hip-hop crews of all time. They started in 1978. DJ Tony Tone was originally a member of the Brothers Disco featuring DJ Breakout, right? DJ Barron and the original Funky Four MCs featuring the first female MC, Shy Rock, KK Rockwell, Keith, and Raheem, who later joined Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. But DJ Charlie was the first DJ for the Furious Five for a very short time in 1979. After the Furious Five and Grandmaster Flash had disputes and Flash disbanded from the Furious Five, then in 1978, DJ Tony Tone joined forces with DJ Charlie, and Easy A.D. left his partner Donald D. of Ice-T's group Rhyme Syndicate. Then they disbanded, breaking up the duo called the Aslam Brothers and joined the Cold Crush Brothers. And I'm saying all this because NBA Live Girl asked me to tell her about Cold Crush. So the original lineup consisted of the founder, Tony Tone, Supreme Easy AD, and DJ Charlie Chase, Whipper Whip, Mr. T, and Dada Rock. Eventually, Whipper Whip and Dada Rock would leave Cold Crush Brothers, and join the DJ Grand Wizard Theodore and the Furious Five, Fantastic Five, which they considered to be a more established group at the time. And of course, the Fantastic Five was originally the L Brothers, which consisted of DJ Mean Gene, DJ Cordio, DJ Grand Wizard Theodore, of course, and MC Smiley, Master Rob, the original Kevy Kev, sometimes Busy B, Starsky. But Mr. T also left the Cold Crush, and Tony Tone, Easy AD, and Charlie Chase brought in Grandmaster Caz, formerly DJ Casanova Fly, Almighty KG, and JDL, to fill the vacancies in the lineup. So Money Ray would be added to the group in the late 80s. That's when Joey Robinson, the son of Sylvia Robinson, heard Big Hank rapping one of Caz's rhymes, and the whole thing is history. But the Cold Crush Brothers toured all 5 boroughs of New York City, as far as Boston, before they were commercially releasing records. Because remember, Stu, they were only putting shit out on recorded cassettes, right, by tape master Elvis Moreno, right? So the Cold Crush Brothers live performances, shows were taped and distributed worldwide via word of mouth promotion, mailed out to people. Guys, this is pre-internet. There was no social media, right? There was no chat rooms. There was no email, right? Everything was physical. Everything was cassette tapes, handwritten letters, all that shit. It was a beautiful time, man. It was a great time in hip hop. It was the birth of something new, man. It was an exciting time. And in the movie, the Cold Crush Brothers featured a number of scenes, the most notable being the Cold Crush Brothers face off against their nemesis, the Fantastic Five, in a basketball court scene. That's Wild Style. So check this movie out, 1982, Wild Style, NBA Live Girl, and you'll see the Cold Crush Brothers and the Fantastic Five do a little mock battle. The other scene was the battle at the Dixie Club, where the brothers, the Cold Crush, sort of battle against wait, who did they battle in that? I think they were just on there by themselves, just like hyping the shit up. But then they actually toured like to Japan, I guess, and Europe and all of that. But they began releasing records commercially in 1982. But yeah, man, they were just one of the earliest battle rap groups. Well, I'm just checking out the chat, guys. Funky 4 plus one more. Right about that one. I seen it on Drunken Stories. Love to hear about those early tapes, man. Hell yeah.
You probably have them on YouTube. Just look them up on YouTube, NBA Live Girl.
But yeah, Slade, no, it's Stu was saying the exact same thing I was. He was just saying what I had already just said. That's all. I wasn't disagreeing with him. So that's DJing. Now today we got MCs like Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, right? They're well known, right? They're high profile, but back in the day, these early, you know what I'm saying, the early days of hip hop, that wasn't always the case. You know, high profiles, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop's early years, its music scene focused on the DJ and the dance floor. The MC, right, short for master of ceremonies, was really like a sidekick to the DJ, right? You know, in Yes Yes Y'all, an oral history of early hip hop, Grandmaster Cash describes the rise of MCing this way. He says the microphone was just used for making announcements, like when the next party was going to be, or people's moms would come to the party looking for them, and you'd have to announce it on the mic. Like that's what the mic was for. And you know, before long though, MCs wanted to, you know, showcase their own little talents. And Grandmaster Cass said, he said different DJs started embellishing what they were saying. And I would make an announcement this way, and somebody would hear that and they'd add a little bit to it. I'd hear it again and take it a step further until it turned from lines to sentences to paragraphs to verses to rhymes. And that's how rap music, you know, came to be. So more and more MCs earned the right to grab the mic using freestyle skills and, you know, to entertain and command a live audience. A master of ceremonies might, you know, make all the needed announcements, but the job of an MC then and now is to guide everyone's good time with their energy, their wit, right, and the ability to interact with people in a live, you know, stage sort of situation on the floor. And good MCs don't just demand the mic, right? The audience honors their skills by demanding they take the mic. You had to be somebody to pick up a mic and say some shit at a party. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't just walk up, oh, hey, Mr. DJ, my name's Billy. I want to spit some rhymes. No, it did. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to be known and you had to be basically invited or asked to. But rappers emerged as a somewhat distinct group. As rap gained commercial success, rap became its own thing. And because that was sort of at the forefront, a lot of people that were not in the know thought that hip hop and rap were the same thing, that hip hop is a type of music, hip hop is rap, right? And not really understanding that hip hop is a culture that encompasses many things and art forms like rap. You know what I'm saying? But in some ways, the talents and responsibilities of rappers overlap with MCs, and an MC might also rap, right? Back then. And the interaction with the audience is the big difference. So in 1979, a trio of MCs rapped over the break from Chic's Good Times. The result was Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight, right? Rap's first hit on record, on a vinyl record. All right. 3 years later, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five released The Message, a funky but unblinking account of hard times in an inner city neighborhood. As the 1980s unrolled, MCs and rappers rose rapidly from second fiddles to the big dogs, right? Your Rakims and Big Daddy Kanes and Run DMCs and Public Enemy, and they created personas and characters that were cooler than life, you know, characters that might be super smooth or, you know, kingpin tough, right? Like they were like almost like superheroes. I heard it said, who was it, Stu, that said that rappers, that they saw rappers like superheroes? I think it was Grap.
Probably was Grap, yeah. And we all did. They were all like superheroes to us.
Yeah.
Because we never, you know, it's just the way they rhyme, the way they came out, the way they came off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they were all local. Like in New York, see, I'm from New Jersey. So like in New York, when you had, you know, they were just, you know, each group of MC, except for today's generation, looked up to something before them. And that's what inspired them. Because when you think about it and you go back and you listen to any of them, they'll all tell you they was inspired by somebody else to do what they did and become great at it.
Yeah.
Except for today's generation, they don't. They feel that like they invented rapping. They don't like to give. You know, they don't like to pay homage to nobody came before them. So.
This is interesting. Interesting factoid, NBA Live, girl. That's dope. And you know, it like there's always like little sort of arguments or disagreements on dates and things. Like the first, like somebody will say, oh, the first white rapper was Blondie. And then somebody else will say, well, no, Tina Marie did it first. It actually, hers came out first. You know what I'm saying? So like, but they both came out like within a month of each other. So, but yeah, anything's possible. Like, cause that's the thing. Like, you know, we orally pass down this history, and that's what hip hop is. And it's an oral culture, right? So we, you know, we pass down this history like legend, like mythology. You know what I'm saying? We talk about these characters like mythological beings or superheroes or gods, or you know what I'm saying? And we sort of mythologize hip hop because we do it, you know, we do give it orally instead of verses you know, written down or engraved in stone. So facts can get, but that's what's fun about it. I love hip hop debates, man. I love you know, getting in arguments and shit with you know, about history and stuff, and that's part of the fun. But so an MC or rapper's flow is crucial to his or her performance, right? The flow is the combination of rhyme and rhythm to create rap's desired effect, right? So this is a real hip hop 101 here. But so the flow or the rap it's like another instrument. So like if you're putting together a beat, you got the drums, and then you bring in some strings and some horns, and right, and you bring in all these elements, and the rap, the verse, the vocals also becomes another instrument in that song. And if the MC is, you know, rhyming right, he's rhyming in the pocket, he's keeping the syllables and the bars and inside the musical bars and all of that, doing it right, then it will sound beautiful. Before hip hop and rap took hold in the United States, spoken word poetry occasionally worked its way into like jazz performances, and many history-minded rappers also connect their art to the Last Poets. Is a Harlem-based group, right? The Watts Prophets out of Los Angeles, Thelonious Monk, both emerged in the late 1960s and paired political poetry with improvisational jazz. Gil Scott Heron's The Revolution Will Not Be Televised resembles rap before it got the name. Increasingly, though, students of hip-hop culture recognize that the best MCs as accomplished formal poets, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they rap complex rhyme schemes, most built on a rock solid 4-beat rhythm or meter. But again, a good MC surprises the audiences with syncopation and other off the beat techniques. Hip hop aficionados reserve special respect for MCs with freestyle skills, the ability to improvise fresh rhymes while standing in the heat of the spotlight, right? You're just coming up with the rhymes as you say them. You're thinking of what to say next as you're saying it on the fly in real time, right? That is called off the dome. Freestyle is a style of rap writing that that doesn't have a specific theme. Like this song isn't about a specific subject. It's just different rhymes thrown together. They can be pre-written. They usually are. Like a freestyle, difference between a freestyle and off the top. This terminology has melded together, you know, in the recent decades, but originally freestyle rap was a way to rap without a subject, a specific subject, but it was pre-written. Off the dome, which is now called freestyle, is rapping on the fly. Like I say a rhyme and then I got to come up with the word that the line that rhymes with it next in my mind as I'm saying it, right? And this seems like, oh, how can you do that? Practice. But yeah, that's you know, that's how rhymes are written. Rapper's Delight was more popular because it overshadowed that record, right? But yeah, it did come out first. Nice call. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like yeah, just because it was more popular. It's like we talk about comic books, right? The first appearance of Gambit is considered 266, but he actually appeared, I think, 6 months earlier in an annual of X-Men annual. So it's argued which one was first, but the one that came out second is given the crown because it was the more popular one, and it wasn't an annual, which is less popular and less people picked it up, so less people saw it. But yeah, same sort of thing. Graffiti, we know what that is, right? Because that's been around since the beginning of fucking ancient Egypt, right? There was graffiti in ancient Rome. Graffiti's been around. Graffiti was not invented by hip hop. It's been around since humans first painted, etched, or carved on rock walls. But youth from the inner cities put a new spin on it in the 1960s. In 1967, a Philadelphia teen named Daryl McCrae spray painted his alias Cornbread wherever he could reach on the walls and trains. He was striving to impress a girl named Cynthia. In 1968, the budding art from the art form made the jump to New York City. And the names Julio 204, Tracy 168, Tacky 183 became familiar sights here in New York and there and increasingly everywhere. But the number of talents of writers spiked in the mid 70s as hip hop's competitive nature sort of kicked in, and they added illustrations, right, to the words, second colors, to outline stylized bubble block lettering. That shit is hip hop. Like, you can say graffiti is older than hip hop, and it is, but there's hip hop graffiti. If you want to put a label on it, it's different. It's its own thing. And the writers, many if not most of them young teens, jumped the limits of size, complexity, and color, as they went up, and their best designs, bring to life whatever they graced, and they called it, wild style. And it was. And you know they jumped fences and snuck into subway tunnels and trespassed, and you know had to bend the law a little bit, but they practiced their art, on blank walls and unstained trains, as their canvases. And whenever opportunities arose, they would paint on the whole side of a subway car, which was great because that subway car is going to travel around, and trains, your art is going to get seen theoretically, across the country. But and before they got painted over or whatever, but the opportunity to see your art at the time, because remember, this is pre-internet, this is pre-social media, so we got Instagram now and YouTube, and we can express ourselves in a much bigger way. But this was more real, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was physical. You had to really get out there and do this. And not surprisingly, New York City cops were not amused, and they cracked down on the writers in the train yards, where new security and all that shit. All that shit was from graffiti writers, and all of that, a lot of the security and stuff today. But yeah, there's been big museum expositions of writers of graffiti, and pieces of granite and steel with hip hop graffiti on them and shit. And lots of movies started coming out in the 80s, right? Like Wild Style and Style Wars. That was the shit. All right. What do we talk about? So the fifth element. We're going to get to the sixth element, but the fifth element, knowledge of self, right? So this is a big part of hip hop. The 1970s, early 80s New York. Well, this is definitely the 1970s. It was, especially true in the Bronx and other lower income areas. But like you saw in some of those Beat Street clips that we saw earlier, you saw the buildings like burnt down and hollowed out and all of that. A lot of the Bronx had burned. A lot of the Bronx, like whole buildings, burned for insurance money, whatever. It was a bad look. Like they say, it looked like Baghdad. Like it looked bombed out and depleted. And much of the optimism of the civil rights movements had faded, and New York was broke. City officials were, slicing basic services, school funding, arts education programs, job training. Life-destroying drugs and crime haunted the streets. Absentee landlords neglected properties until, the buildings just fell apart or went up in flames. And in the face of all that, however, the energy of us kids refused to, shut down. Young people, many of them teens, created new ways of spinning records and dancing, and experimented with new styles of poetry and visual art, and all this stuff. Kind of, hip hop is like the phoenix. You know what I'm saying? It rises from the ashes, a beautiful bird, right? It's like out of nothing, like the rose that grew from the concrete. That's sort of that's a lot of the appeal. It's an underdog culture. And hip hop's fifth element of knowledge teaches the hip hop community about its identity and ways to express that identity. And it places great importance on claiming a stake in one's own education, right? Knowing where you came from helps show you where you're going. And that's KRS-One right there. Once you know where you come from, then then you know what you to learn. And that's KRS, right? Knowledge reigns supreme. Hip hop believes that people can take control of their lives through self-knowledge and self-expression. Knowledge influences style and technique and connects its artists under a collective hip-hop umbrella, and it engages the world through hip-hop history, values, ideas, adds intellectual muscle to support and inform its music, and moves it, in its poetry and art, and most importantly, though, it allows for a shared experience against an uncertain world. It's something we can all relate to. It's something that we can find a unity behind, a connection with. Africa Bambaataa. Stu, you were around when Africa Bambaataa was big, right? Was popular.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you were young, but Africa Bambaataa deserves much of the credit for putting this concept of knowledge into word and action. All right. Bambaataa is a pioneering DJ and MC from the Bronx, one-time teen leader of a gang. Bambaataa had universal respect and a powerful ability to make peace between enemies. His legendary music and dance parties brought together different rivals, and the flyers would be like, free jam, come one, come all, leave your colors at home, right? Come in peace and unity, shit like that. And the young Bambaataa was a devout student of history, and he absorbed the tactics and strategies of historical leaders like French Emperor Napoleon and South African chieftain military commander Shaka Zulu. And he grasped the power of music and as strategy for clearing barriers that divided people, whatever their backgrounds. It's a lot that we got to give to Bambaataa, but at the same time, recent revelations. Well, by the 1980s, Bambaataa and his large growing crew had founded the Universal Zulu Nation. All right, dedicated to hip hop values. The origins motto was peace, love, unity, and having fun. All right, they developed infinity lessons, principles, and codes of conduct for living an honorable hip hop life. And they emphasize community, peace, wisdom, freedom, justice, love, unity, responsibility, respect for others, and respect for self. And, he put his knowledge into words, and the words radiated around the Bronx, out to Queens, Brooklyn, New York, across the United States, down to Florida, out to Cali, you know what I'm saying? Just spread. And, but in recent years, I have to mention that Bambaataa was caught up in a pedophile accusation.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of guys that were teens then have come forward and accused the Bambaataa of molesting them, like straight up, like on some real gay shit. And he and cats ain't gonna just say that shit if it ain't true. You know what I'm saying? No dude's gonna be like, yeah, Bambaataa sucked my dick if it wasn't true. So it's probably true because it's not one guy saying it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of evidence behind it. So, but when talking about history, we have to talk about what these people did, whether they were good people or bad people. Yeah, am I right?
Yeah. Gotta break it down, baby. Let it be broke.
Breaking it down.
Yeah, that came out a few years back. And they were talking about it real heavy.
Yeah.
And then, more people started coming out and, saying things they heard. And, because for a long time it was swept under the rug. It was heard of, but it wasn't spoken of.
Right.
And then I forget who bought it out, but once they bought it out, a lot of people came out. It was like, yeah, I heard the same thing. It wasn't, and this is a lot of people, big name people. From the smallest name to the biggest name, they all said the same thing.
Yeah, and yeah. So I mean, we can't ignore that. We gotta acknowledge that. But It is what it is. So yeah, I mean, hip hop, like a lot of people take rap and at first rap during this time, especially in the 80s, a lot of people saw it as a fad, right? They just thought it was like something that was just some popular thing kids were doing, and it wasn't like real music, right? They would say this isn't real music or no. And I don't care if they were white, black, whoever. Elders did not like rap. They just thought it wasn't music. They just didn't get down with it. But you can't deny the complexity and prose and poetry and rhyme. MCs tell complex stories in rhyme and rhythm. Rappers write and polish their lyrics, you know what I'm saying, and season that shit. The secret, you know what I'm saying, is out. Hip hop poets love words, right? The toughest, coolest, most dangerous seeming MCs are at heart basically just enormous language dorks, just big nerds. We just, you know what I'm saying, we just love puns and rhymes and slang and extended metaphors, and you know what I'm saying, and these skills can translate smoothly into literary forms, right? Short stories, novels, scripts, poetry, comic book style graphic novels. Like we've gotten a lot of hip hop graphic novels, not to mention the sixth element of hip hop, which is comic books, because comic books have inspired hip hop since the beginning, since, you know, Grandmaster Flash, the Furious Five. Comic books have always been a big part of hip hop. In every era of hip hop, you can find comic book references in lyrics, in names of groups and rappers, in album cover art. It's a major part, and that shit translates. Like I rapped, I wrote rhymes. I opened up for Lil Wayne and Trick Daddy back in like 97, 98. Then I started writing stories, and then I started writing a novel and comic books and all that stuff. So all that stuff, it's writing. So it's a lot of positivity that comes from this stuff that they said was just negative and should be banned and blah blah blah. But rapped aloud or published on paper, hip hop influenced literary forms have roots in the Black arts movement from the 1960s. Black arts movement inspired a generation of African American, Latino, and feminist writers, including Amiri Baraki, Maya Angelou, Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, the Last Poets, and a lot more, obviously. But to share stories and views often overlooked or outright rejected by mainstream America. And along the way, spoken word, a forerunner of rap, injected energy into performance. And through poetry slams, it's developed its own fans, with its forceful, wordplay. And as in theater, the literary world is making more space for hip hop style subjects and themes. Scholars Andrew Dubois and Adam Bradley recently edited and published the Anthology of Rap, a huge collection of lyrics. Adam Bradley said, rappers are perhaps our greatest public poets, extending a tradition of lyricism that spans continents and stretches back thousands of years. They expand our understanding of human experience by telling stories we might not otherwise hear. That's deep. And that's coming from a scholar who wrote a book. So some hip hop savvy teachers are bringing the best of hip hop culture, and literature into their classrooms. And writers for kids, teens, and young adults are telling hip hop tales in the books like Think Again by Dougie Fresh. You got W. Allen's Brothers of the Night, and the Hip Hop Kids series by Jasmine Billar. Dude, I got a ton of hip hop comic books, graphic novels. It just goes on and on. Do you agree that KRS that Bambaataa should be basically forgiven for that because he is a rap legend? No, I don't agree. I don't think he should be forgiven for that because he's a rap legend. I do believe, though, and maybe what KRS is getting at is that he should still be recognized for what he did for the culture. You know, he shouldn't be erased from history. Right, Stu?
Agreed.
Okay. But yeah, he shouldn't be erased. He should be acknowledged for what he did, but I don't think he should be forgiven as far as like, dude, it's pedophilia. Like, that's like one of the most unforgivable things out there. You like rape, murder, pedophilia. Like, so I don't know.
Nah,
I think
controversial. It's controversial, man. Everybody has their opinion, but we're not the law. The law decides whether, unless he was trying to convict it, man. I mean, basically, you got, what somebody said versus what he said. Do I think it's true? Yeah, to some extent, I think it's true. I think it could happen. I can't put nothing past nobody. But at the same time, I can't sit there and throw him under a bus for it. Right. But I can say, if you was to ask me, was it right? I want to tell you no. I'll tell you, do I think we should, whoever the people was he did it to, they should step forward, man. Prosecute. Do something, man. But to sit here and debate about it, man, it's done. It's over with. I mean, and he got away with it as of now. But is it something that we need to know about? 100%.
Right.
It's just sort of like the Catholic priest thing. You look up to them, and they're supposed to be these people that protect his secrets, all that, and then all of a sudden they drop the bomb on you like that. It's the same thing with it's the same exact thing. Somebody you thought that you could trust and look up to, and then they let you down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, legally, we, what can we do? Forgive him. I don't know, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm still gonna talk about his contribution to hip hop. But when I do, I'm gonna also say what he did, like I just did, right? So we just did that. We acknowledged his contribution, and also acknowledged what his victims accuse him of. But like you said, Stu, I don't think that there's been a legal recourse. I don't think anyone's called the cops or done anything legal about it. It's all been word of mouth or whatever. So yeah, until they do something legal about it, technically, yeah, he is forgiven, I guess. I mean, I don't know what that means really. I don't know what KRS means by that. I'm not gonna forget.
Yeah, because it was a big debate a few years ago. KRS came out and said that. People was like people was kind of like they wasn't agreeing with it.
Yeah.
But everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't have to agree with it. Like I said, it's just like it's the same thing with Catholic priests. Just ask the question, what do we do about this?
Right. Right. Yeah, man. Hip hop was born 50 years ago. It's been 50 years. That's amazing. What to think about. Fuck. 50 years. Technically 49. If we're going by August 11th, 1973 as being the birthplace of hip hop, birth date of hip hop. And if we're going to put a birth date on it, what better date? So that's the sort of consensus. And that was, that was technically 2 days ago. So this is according to the screenshot or the thumbnail. Happy belated born day to hip hop, because it was actually Thursday. But yeah, we wanted to break it down and do a little salute, little tribute, little promo thing. But it is still DC Power Hour, and even though we've gone an hour and a half already talking about hip hop, we still have lots of DC shit to talk about. Let me see. Stu, you got some time?
Not much. I got to about 8:30. I gotta.
Well, I was gonna
go fight crime. Yeah. We got about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Before I gotta, break out and do what I gotta do.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. There's a lot of stuff, but nothing really big. Mostly Ezra Miller stuff.
Yeah, I heard he filmed a couple more scenes for the Flash. They gotta put that Flash movie out, man. And everybody is everybody's just confused about it.
Well, apparently,
everybody's like, you cancel Batgirl, but Flash still gets put out. Everybody's
well, test audiences apparently were not impressed with Batgirl. They didn't like it. But test audiences are loving the Flash, despite the ongoing scandal involving, Ezra Miller and all the bullshit. But according to industry insider viewer Anon, the Flash movie is one of Warner Brothers' most crowd-pleasing movies that audiences have responded to. And the film's numbers are the highest for any DCEU movie. This is what I would have expected from Flashpoint, the movie, because Flashpoint was a fucking tremendous story. It was a great animated film. Flashpoint is great in DC. You got Thomas Wayne, one of my favorite Batman characters. It's just a lot of good shit. So I was mad excited. Oh shit, they're gonna do a movie, Flashpoint, one of my favorite stories. Fuck yeah. But then all this shit with Ezra started happening. But I'm not surprised that it's one of the best, movies. If they did it right and all of that. And this statement tracks with previous reports that the DC Extended Universe film was generating great buzz in its testing. So despite new allegations surrounding Ezra Miller continuing to emerge, Warner Brothers is currently considering how best to move forward with the film and has outlined 3 potential scenarios, which include doing limited press for The Flash and not having Miller promote the movie. Last resort scenario is also being discussed that would involve shelving the film, but that would only happen if Miller's behavior continued to worsen and began negatively impacting the film's box office potential. That's all they give a fuck about. Believe me, they don't give a shit about Ezra Miller or any of the shit he's doing or any of the victims or none of that shit. They couldn't care less. They care about the bottom line. Is this movie going to make money? They don't care about cancel culture. Sorry, guys. Sorry, social justice warriors. They don't give a shit. All they care about is the money, the bottom line. And Warner Brothers originally announced a feature-length film starring Barry Allen the Flash in 2014, with a theatrical release date pegged for 2018. Of course, the film was delayed multiple times since its announcement and went through several directors and writers before Andy Muschietti and Christina Hodson stayed on the film's director and screenwriter, respectively. Principal photography began in April 2021 in England and wrapped later that year in October. The upcoming DCU film will take inspiration from the comic book storyline Flashpoint and feature multiple versions of the Flash, as well as both Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton's versions of Batman. But Ezra Miller, has continued to cast a shadow over this fucking movie. And, he's been at the forefront of several major controversies. They keep coming up with news. Dude, go sit the fuck down somewhere. Sit down. He can't do any. It's like every fucking 5 minutes, there's another thing. It's like, dude, go fucking sit down somewhere. Apparently you can't do shit right. So just don't go anywhere. But with the latest involving them housing a mother and 3 children at a cannabis farm with loose firearms in June. It was the latest. So, but the actor was also reported to have spent the last few months driving around the United States armed, wearing a bulletproof vest, believing that they're being followed by the FBI and the KKK. He's done multiple Instagram posts talking to the KKK. And they've also faced a felony burglary charge, an incident where they were allegedly caught on camera stealing from a Vermont home. New details surrounding Miller's time in Iceland have also surfaced, with which suggested that the actor displayed cult-like behavior while living in the country in 2020. So, I mean, bro, you can't even hide in Iceland. Like, no matter what you do, it's gonna come out. So, I don't know what you're thinking, man. But he's, he'll be in The Flash alongside Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Michael Shannon, Ron Livingston, Kiersey Clemens, Aunt J. Truow, Sasha Cale, Morbiel Verdú, Turmaruo Morrison, Sori C. Monica. These names, it's not my fault. Jackson, Rudy Mancuso, and Luke Brandon Field. Okay, that's the whole fucking cast, I guess. So at this time, The Flash is still scheduled to open June 23rd of next year. So we'll see. But as far as Warner Brothers is concerned and all of that, they're going through with the movie.
I mean, I guess so.
Unless he does something to hurt. Yeah.
You cancel Batgirl, why not?
Right. Yeah, but he's been
which had Michael Keaton in it. So
yeah, Michael Keaton did. Yeah, he did a little cameo in there too. So
yes, sir.
Yep. And also rumored HBO Max Constantine movie stars Sope Dirisu responds to negative fan reaction. Sope Dirisu, who is rumored to star in HBO Max's upcoming Constantine reboot series, is getting some negative reactions from fans of the DC Comics character. He hadn't previously acknowledged rumors of becoming the next John Constantine. Posted a message where he received an angry fan of the character said, "Stay away from Constantine." The message read, "I hate you," along with the screenshot, and the actor shared his response, writing, "Someone has very strong opinions." Hollywood's first black John Constantine. So Derisu's potential casting was revealed in April. Report that claimed HBO Max was eyeing the British Nigerian actor for the title role. The streaming service first announced the new Constantine series February 2021. Reports began to circulate that production would seek a biopic actor in the lead role. Oh, a BIPOC, not biopic. Sorry, BIPOC. I think it means British something person of color. Something British, I don't know, something person of color actor. Yeah, so Constantine is depicted as a blonde white man in the comic books. So Keanu Reeves played a brunette Constantine in 2005's Constantine movie, and Connor Dillon Ryan portrayed a teenage version of Constantine in the film. But most recently, Welsh actor Matt Ryan took on the mantle for NBC's short-lived Constantine series and would go on to reprise the role in the CW's Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. Ryan also voiced the character in several animated series and films. But I don't know, Stu, what do you think? What do you think about a black Constantine?
I don't know, man. I think they're gender swapping it because they want to go in a new direction with it.
Race.
Yeah, race-wise, and they just want to give it a new look. Because when you think of Constantine, we only got that one movie, so everybody's gonna think Keanu Reeves or the guy that did Constantine for the CW. I don't know why they just don't cast him to do it. He did a great job. I don't know why they just don't let him keep being Constantine. He did a really great job.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to race swap Constantine. I just think they need to get somebody to do a good job at it.
That's him. So you know him. He's done a bunch of stuff, but
yeah. I mean, like I said, they Sada told us, and I agree because I read it. With Discovery and WB4, Discovery wants to go in. They want to go in a different direction with the DC universe, the DC movie universe. They want to do things differently. They want to do things. They want to shake things up a bit. And making Constantine African American would be one of them, or African British, or British Black British. I don't know.
Yeah, but British Nigerian.
It's just shaking. It's just shaking up it's just shaking the tree, man. Shaking the pot. It's not gonna go well. It's not gonna go over well with the fans.
No,
Casual
it's not.
fans
I mean,
might,
with the certain white fans, certain white
yeah, the
premise
casual
fans.
fans might like it, but
Yeah,
everybody wants to be. They want the the heroes that they read in the comics to be represented appropriately, and Hollywood just isn't that smart. Yeah, see. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if their idea is as great as they say it is. I don't think so.
We'll see, but yeah, I was always excited for that damn Flashpoint movie, but I hope we get it. I hope it's good. I'm not. I never liked Ezra Miller as the Flash anyway. Before all the controversies, the movies, I never liked him as. I was like, that's not Barry Allen. Don't even act like that. That doesn't even make sense. He's all awkward and like paranoid and like I don't know. He's just like seemed mad, anxious, and just not at all Barry Allen, clumsy and shit, falling down and shit. Like, yeah. So I was never a fan of him in the first place, but big fan of Flashpoint, the story. So we'll see. All right, guys, that is our time, and we will catch you guys Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday until I get my new schedule. But yeah, man, we'll see you guys then. Peace.
Peace.